It's safe to say that Sylvester Stallone is one of the best-known actors of all time. From the mid-70s to the late 80s, he was on a real hot streak, coming out with blockbuster after blockbuster. Unfortunately, by the early 90s, things kind of slowed down for old Sly. He was in a few not-so-great movies, although during this period there was an exception with the year 1993. Stallone had a huge hit with his action thriller, Cliffhanger. Another Stallone movie released later that year which wasn't quite as successful was the futuristic dystopian action film, Demolition Man. This movie has a huge cult following to this day, and that's for good reason. At first glance, it's just a fun science fiction action B-movie, but on a closer observation you can see that it is actually pretty smart and interestingly satirical. It takes a real look at the idea of political correctness, which was becoming a huge cultural and self-righteous concept throughout the 1990s. Political correctness may not always be a bad thing, but this movie does show the negative outcomes it can lead to, especially when authoritarian governments use it to take away people's freedom to choose. Overall, I'm a big fan of this movie, even if knowing the fact that we may never truly find out how to use the 3 seashells. Well, with all that, this is the 1993 movie, Demolition Man, 10 Things You May Not Know. Number 10. The original script for the film was written by Peter Lenkoff. He was a big fan of police shows from the 70s and 80s and was inspired by the 1987 action cop film, Lethal Weapon. For the Demolition Man script, he mixed elements from action cop fiction with the conspiracy theory rumors that famous celebrities such as Walt Disney had been cryogenically frozen to preserve their bodies after death. Lenkoff also got inspiration from the Sting song, Demolition Man, which he'd listened to on repeat due to a broken cassette player in his car. Number 9. After the script was sold to Warner Brothers, it was rewritten by Daniel Waters, who is best known for writing the 1989 teen dark comedy, Heathers. Originally, the script was just a straight-up action movie, but Waters added a lot of comedic elements and described his version as an action film version of Woody Allen's 1973 film, Sleeper. At one point, the script had an uncredited rewrite by director and screenwriter, Fred Decker. Originally, the movie opened up in the future of 2032 with Spartan being taken out of his cryogenically frozen state. Decker added the prologue set in 1996 Los Angeles to make the difference in the future more striking. He was quoted explaining, "If you don't show Kansas, Oz isn't all that special." Number 8. Originally, Steven Seagal was attached to play John Spartan, with Jean-Claude Van Damme playing antagonist Simon Phoenix. This lineup fell through though, because Van Damme didn't want to play the villain, and when he suggested the roles be switched, Seagal didn't want to play the antagonist bad guy role either. Eventually, the role of John Spartan went to Sylvester Stallone, who had originally turned down the role, but finally agreed to it. Stallone mostly took the role because he liked the idea of playing a hero cop character who had a rival antagonist character that was his equal instead of just being a generic bad guy. Number 7. Sylvester Stallone wanted Jackie Chan to play the antagonist Simon Phoenix, but Chan turned it down because he didn't want to be typecasted as a foreign villain in US action movies. Eventually, the role went to Wesley Snipes, who had initially turned the role down several times, but he finally agreed to it after director Marco Brambilla visited him and told him how excited he was for the movie. Snipes was great for the role because he had charisma and an extensive martial arts background. In fact, Snipes' kicks and punches were so fast that they blurred on camera, and he was asked to slow them down. Number 6. Wesley Snipes bleached his hair and had a unique haircut in his role as antagonist Simon Phoenix. This look actually inspired NBA star Dennis Rodman, who bleached his hair and got a similar haircut to go along with his new bad boy image after he was traded from the Detroit Pistons to the San Antonio Spurs in late 1993. In fact, due to the new hairdo, Rodman's nickname was the Demolition Man for a while. This image became a big trademark for Rodman, and he went on to experiment with different hair colors and other unique fashion styles. Number 5. Actress Lori Petty was originally cast in the role of optimistic 20th century obsessed character, Lenina Huxley. Unfortunately, Petty and Stallone did not get along and she left the film early in the production. This allowed actress Sandra Bullock to take the role. At the time, Bullock had been in a few films, but this was considered a breakout role for her. The Lenina Huxley name is a combination of Lenina Crown and Aldous Huxley. Crown is a character in author Huxley's 1939 novel, Brave New World, which was a big influence on this film. Number 4. One of the more famous ideas within the movie is that in the future, people use 3 seashells instead of toilet paper while using the bathroom. Writer Daniel Waters came up with the concept after talking on the phone with fellow writer Larry Karaszewski, who was in his bathroom when he answered the phone call. He looked around his bathroom and told Waters that he had 3 decorative seashells on his toilet, thus the humorous idea of the 3 seashells was born. Number 3. The free-spirited Edgar-friendly character was played by comedian Denis Leary. At the time, Leary was a very popular stand-up comic and actually wrote the libertarian-influenced rants that his character gives in the film. In a blink and you might miss it early role, actor Jack Black makes an appearance as one of the wasteland scraps standing right next to Leary in one scene. Number 2. Some of the futuristic cars were a concept car design created by General Motors. The concept car was called Ultralight, and 20 fiberglass replicas of them were produced to portray civilian and SAPD patrol vehicles in the film. The Ultralight cars were never sold commercially or mass-produced, but they were a low-emission vehicle that could get up to 100 miles per gallon and were produced to demonstrate the benefits of advanced materials and low fuel consumption. Number 1. Burger King was originally written in the script as the winner of the restaurant franchise wars. Unfortunately, Burger King and also McDonald's were not interested in being a part of the film. The producers of the movie then made a deal with Taco Bell instead. Taco Bell, especially at the time, was considered lesser and cheaper among the fast food chains, so it actually made the idea that they beat all other restaurants that much funnier. In the European version of the movie, Taco Bell was digitally replaced with Pizza Hut because Taco Bell wasn't well known outside the United States and Canada. This alteration was actually a part of the same product placement deal because Taco Bell and Pizza Hut are actually owned by the same parent company, Yum Brands. Well, that was the 1993 movie, Demolition Man, 10 Things You May Not Know. If you want to see more videos like this, go ahead and subscribe to the Dave Likes Movies channel right here. Thanks for watching, and if you are like me and enjoy this movie, let me know in the comments.